Hello everyone. In today's session, we'll discuss about functions in Python. So, as we know, function is a block of code. It performs a particular task, or we can say it is an organized block, mainly consists of the reusable code, and that performs the single task or the related action. So, function provides better modularity for your application and high degree of code reusing. So, that is the advantage of function. So, that is function supports or provides better modularity, where the complexity of the program can be reduced by dividing it into number of smaller tasks and by applying the solution for that particular task through the method called as a function. So, Python gives many built-in functions already that we have used. The functions like print is a function or input is a function. All these are considered as a built-in function. So, we can also define our own function and it can be used wherever required, or the reusable code can be represented in the form of a function called as a user-defined function. So, now we will see more about this user defined function. The first thing is defining the function. In Python, the function is defined using the keyword def, so followed by the name of the function and the list of parameter what it receives. Any input parameters or arguments should be placed within these parentheses. The first statement in the function is called as a docstring, so which is an optional comment that we can give about the function, and it is recommended that for the clarity purpose. So, we can just specify what that function performs. So, that docstring can be specified, and the function ends with the colon, and whenever the statement ends with the colon in Python, so then we need to follow the indent. Okay, so the body of the function should be properly indented. The statement return, so in the function actually takes the control back to the calling program with some values, or just without taking any value back to the calling program, just the control go back to the calling program when the return statement is executed. So, here is the syntax of the function definition. So, the keyword def followed by the function name and whatever the parameter it receives that we have to define, followed by the docstring, then the body of the function called as a function suit, what that function performs. The body of the function is defined, and finally the return statement. One simple example is also given, like there is a function called as print me, and that function just print whatever the parameter it receives. Okay. So, the function whatever is defined triggers only when it is called, means function written in the program executes when there is a call to the function. So, whenever the task defined in the function needs to be executed means we need to call that function. So, in this example, so we have defined one simple program print me, which just print the parameter what it receives, and there is a call to the function. You can see in the example that the function is called print me by passing a string. I am first called to user defined function. So, that is the parameter or the string passed to the subfunction. So, then there is one more call. A function can be called any number of times as required. So, here the function is called twice. So, again with another string, like again second call to the same function, and you can also see the output what it produce. So, whatever the parameter that we sent or passed to the subfunction is printed. So, we got the two output because the function called twice by different parameters or by different strings. So, when we discuss about function, the important thing is how we pass the parameter, whether it is by value method or by reference method. So, in Python, passing the parameter in reference or value method, that depends on the type of the parameter what we pass to the subfunction. So, like the Python data types are classified into mutable and immutable. Mutable are the data which can be modified. Okay. So, the immutable data means that cannot be modified. Once specified the value or once taken the value to the variable, so then it is fixed. We cannot make modification. In case if we try to modify, a new reference is created or the new variable will be created. So, therefore, when immutable objects such as the whole number, integer, float or list, these are all the immutable data types. So, therefore, when immutable objects such as whole numbers, strings, etc. are passed as an argument to the function call, then it can be considered as call by value. You might be knowing that when the parameters are or the passing the value is call by method, so then whatever the changes is done in the function is not reflected in the calling function. Okay. The subfunction can use the parameter, it can alter, but the modification done is not reflected. When the control comes back to the calling program, so it retains the original value. Okay. So, when the immutable data are passed, so then it is said to be call by value. So, this is because when the values are modified within the function, so then the changes do not get reflected outside the function. So, then it is said to be call by value method. So, when the parameters are passed using the call by value method, so then the subfunction cannot make any modification. In case even if the modification is done, it is only local to that function. So, when the control comes back to the calling function, it retains its original value. So, the second type is call by reference. So, that also decided by the type of the parameter what we pass. So, when mutable objects such as the list is mutable type, dictionary is mutable type. So, the mutable objects are passed as the arguments to the function call. It can be called as a call by reference. So, when it is called by reference, so then whatever the changes that subfunction do to the parameter, it becomes permanent. Even in the calling program also it will be reflected or it got modified. So, when the values are modified within the function, the change also gets reflected outside the function. So, therefore, we have to note that. So, the call by reference or call by method or call by value is decided by the type of the value what we pass to the subfunction. So, here is an example for call by value method. So, where the parameter passed is of type integer. So, in the main program you can see that num is equal to 13. So, it is an integer value. So, we have a function called as my function which receives the parameter a and just it prints the value whatever it received. So, then also it modifies the value received, the parameter what it receives a plus is equal to 2 means it gets modified, 2 added to that value and then again there is a print statement. You can just check what output it gives. So, the original value of num is equal to 13 and just in the main program initial number num is printed. So, 13 is going to be printed definitely. And then there is a call to the my function which receives the value 13 and in the subfunction it will be displayed and after modification also it is displayed once again and in the main function also after the control comes back to the main function once again there is a display. So, but we can see that So, only the changes done in the subfunction is only local to that and it is not reflected in the main program. So, similarly one more example, passing the list. List is mutable type. So, therefore, whatever the changes we do to the list, so the more data added by using the append method, but the changes are done permanently in the main function also. So, we can see in the output the 40 whatever is added or appended in the subfunction also got reflected in the main, because it is called by reference method, because the value passed here is of mutable type. Okay, more about this function we will discuss in the next video. Thank you.